Good morning, folks. Welcome to Mark's business check-in on today, the 28th of January. It's Wednesday. The weather in Dublin is 5 degrees. It says it feels like 1. And in London, it's 3 degrees. Mr. Mann, thanks so much for joining me this morning. There's someone else joining me on TikTok. He's just out the door going to work. So the weather in London is 3 degrees. In Dublin, is 5 degrees. Feels like 1. It's dry out there at the moment. I've been out there. It's fairly dry. This is not the weather forecast, but at least there's no rain. And to the people who have businesses who got an awful lot of water damage yesterday, we're thinking of you, because it's a terrible thing. I imagine to get up in the morning and your house is awash with water, which is one of the worst things to have. So if anyone knows anyone that can be of any help, fantastic. Give these people help because they need help this morning. And if I can be of any help, let me know with your feedback. If I can be any help in any way. But so we're thinking of you. Let's talk this morning about one of the fastest way to grow your business, and I've done it, is to buy other companies. Is to buy someone else, a competitor, or someone else is in the same area of your business or an area of business you want to get into, right? That's the ideal way to grow your business, and it's one of the fastest, right? And people think buying a company, you're going to have to spend hundreds of thousands of pounds, and you have to do millions of pounds of turnover. You don't. I bought a company many years ago, an advertising agency. I had no money, and I bought it for £5 million. Okay, there's ways to buy companies, but so first of all, get out of your head that you have to be of a certain size business-wise, and your turnover has to be of a certain size for you to be able to buy someone to add on to your business. There's many ways to buy someone else to add them onto your business, and it doesn't always have to be money up front. And as I said, when I bought the advertising agency, after the initial conversation, what I offered was much lower, but that was to get the conversation going. The deal when it was finally done was 5 million, with £2.5 million up front. So I didn't put any money down. I had no money at that stage to put down, so I didn't put any money down on that whatsoever. But a firm of accountants, and one chap in particular, Frank, showed me how we could structure the deal to make the deal happen. And how we did it was very simple. We looked at the amount of people there in the balance sheet. So how much was that company owed by other customers? And then we did a thing called invoice discounting. It was a special way of doing it. After we took control of the company, the bank immediately, within 15 minutes, would give us a loan to 80% of the value of all the people who owe us money. So for every €1 that we were owed that morning, the bank gave us 80 cents. And because the company was owed about £4.5 million from other creditors, we owed about £4.5 million, we could raise the £2.5 million from the balance sheet. It's what they call a Section 60 in Ireland. And we did it through a thing called invoice discounting. The only problem with doing something like that is you have to make sure your sales is always growing. And if you are going to buy a company like that, you need to get very good advice and look at how the company's sales have been going, where are they going, all that type of stuff. So that's me buying a company for 5 million with no money down, by using what's available on that company's balance sheet to release that money. But there's loads of ways, as I said, of buying a company. Like if you have someone out there, there could be someone in your industry at this moment who is thinking of retiring in the next couple of years. And maybe they've been running their own business for 10, 15, 20, 25 years, and they want to get out. They want to leave that business. And that business, bolted onto your business, could make you a completely different company in the morning. But maybe you have very little cash to put down. Maybe the bank will only give you a certain amount. It's still worth your while having a cup of coffee with that person and trying to structure a deal. Maybe it's a deal where you're going to pay them off over so many years. And maybe you don't take full control of the company right away, or you do take control of the company right away. But if you miss any payment, a portion of the company reverts back to that person, right? So there's ways to do deals. There's a lot of ways to do deals. And you'll see the very big companies, they're always on the lookout for acquisitions, especially foreign companies, like American companies who want to get into the UK or the Irish market. It's cheaper for them to buy an Irish or UK company to start from scratch. If they start from scratch, they have to employ the staff, they have to get the premises, they have to get the systems in place, they have to structure the whole business, they have to chase customers, they have to find customers, and they have to grow from scratch. Sometimes it's quicker for them to pay an Irish or UK based company a few million quid, even over the value of the company, so they get a strong foothold in the marketplace. That's why big companies do it. But there's no reason why, if you're a small company, you can't do it. No reason whatsoever. The only thing holding you back is your imagination and how are you going to structure that deal, right? How are you going to structure the deal? And have you got what it takes to approach someone, to buy someone? And that's important. Excuse me. And also, remember, when you buy someone else, it will increase the value of your company, it will increase the turnover, increase your customer reach, and all that stuff. Which in return, if you want to sell your company down the road, you now have something of bigger value by adding another company onto yours. With many companies out there which have become very big, large companies, Greencore did it, Ergo did it. There's a lot of companies out there who have bolted on other companies onto them, and maybe sometimes it's areas they want to get into. Maybe they want to get into a specialty area, or they want to target certain type of customers. But at the moment, they don't have those customers. But maybe you have, and maybe they feel that if they merge your company with their company, that they can get into that market. And as I said, if you're a company owner, yes, I am a company owner. If you get, that's I'm answering someone on TikTok. If you're a company owner, you could buy someone else. So if you're turning over 100, 200 or 300,000 pounds, and you want to get to that £1 million mark a year, or maybe you want to just get a bigger reach and be a bigger company, the first thing you do is decide who you want to buy. Who's out there in the industry that may be willing to sell? And there's no harm having a cup of coffee with a few of your competitors and ask them, are you looking to sell? Are you interested in maybe joining us, maybe having a merger, bring the two companies together, value both companies independently, and then look at what the whole thing together will be. And each of you having a share in that business. It could be 50-50. It could be 40-60. It could be 30-70. But you could bring both of them together. And by bringing both of them together, then you have a much stronger company. Now, the other thing is, when you bring two companies together, you're going to have savings that you need to pencil in. Like maybe you might decide to just use one building or move both businesses to one building. You don't need two council departments. Sadly, yes, some people maybe have to make redundancy. Maybe you don't need two back offices. Maybe you don't need as many vans on the road. So there is savings to be made in rent, in staff costs, in marketing, in advertising. If you're really, really focused and really, really aggressive, you can go in with a pencil and start cutting a lot of costs. When you merge two companies together, you should be able to at least reduce the overheads by about 45 to 50%. Because there'll be an awful lot of duplications there between you and someone else who you're going to buy. And those savings alone could pay back the bank if you have got a bank loan. Those savings alone could pay back the person who you bought the company of. So there's a lot of savings to be got there. Also, if suddenly you have two companies who come together and now they each have new customers that they can sell their services to. So if you buy someone whose product you weren't selling or some of the services you weren't offering under your own name, suddenly now you have an avenue to sell your services to your new customers, and the company you took over their services to your customers. So if it's managed well, and if it's managed very well, buying another company can add an awful lot of value to your business. Now, there's a lot of work in it because you have to be very focused and very disciplined in reducing costs, as I said. So there's a lot of work in the first year, first 18 months in merging the two companies, in communicating to the customers who you are now. You may have a name change. You may decide that the company you bought, their name is stronger than your name in the marketplace, so you're going to trade under their name and do away with your name over a period of time. You can't let egos get in the way when you buy someone else. If you want to make it work, you have to sit down and look at it very cold and say, right, this name works the best in the marketplace, or my back office is better than your back office, or your back office is better than my back office, or your accounting system is better than my accounting system, or your auditor is better than my auditor, or my credit controller is better than your credit controller. You have to look at it in a cold light of day. I have to look at it in very black and white to make it work. But it can work. And if you look at it, and also we'll say, there's an awful lot of magazines and websites out there where you have companies looking to sell themselves. You have companies looking to buy companies, and they're advertising for people in their own industry, or they're reaching out to buy companies. So what I would say is, if you're thinking of buying a company, don't first of all think about, I can't afford it. Don't think about how you're going to fund it. That's the second part of the equation. The first part of the equation is you need to find that company that you want to buy. And you need to find that company that both of you can work together, both of you can have a good relationship. Because the reality is, everyone who owns you the company, they'll have to stay in the new look entity for at least 6 months to a year. At least 6 months to a year. So that the changeover from their customers to being with your company, that all that goes smoothly, and that you don't lose staff, you don't lose that you don't want to lose, you don't lose intellectual property, you don't lose customers. You want everything to stay the same while you remold the company behind the scenes. And that's important. And that's really important. So make sure, if you are buying someone, that look for someone first. And as I said, don't worry about the finance. You'll figure out the deal. If there's a deal to be done, you'll figure out the deal. There's a lot of commercial banks in the UK, and one or two in Ireland, but there's a lot in the UK who are very hungry for business. There's a lot of personal investors who are hungry for business. There's a lot of companies here and in the UK who will do business loans for you. I'm trying to remember one that won the award very recently, and I just can't remember. It won't come to me. Based in Ireland, I think they won something in the enterprise Ernest & Young and Entrepreneur Awards. It'll come back to me who it is. But the point is, there's a lot of ways to finance a deal. There's a lot of money out there that you can tap into from different sources. It just means you have to get creative. But the first thing you have to do is you have to find that company and have that deal on the table. So I would say to you, no matter what your size of company, if you're listening this morning and when you're turning over 100 or 300 or 400,000 pounds, or you're turning over $1 million and you want to get to the next stage, seriously think about buying another company. Seriously think about acquiring another business that will add value to your business. But as I said, it's hard work because you have to bolt both companies on. But find that company and don't be scared to do a deal. Because the reality is, when you go and meet somebody for a coffee, because you're meeting them and you're doing the chasing, they'll want more money than they're worth. Everyone does. So you have to sit down and look at on their accounts on the balance sheet and work out, based on what market you're in, what type of valuation is there and what type of deal can be done. And as I said, it could be a deal where you're going to pay them over 2 or 3 years. It could be a deal where some of it is in cash and some of it is they'll take a shareholding in the new look company. It could be a deal where you become the chairman and they become the managing director and you both are going 50-50 or 60-40. Like, there's a lot of ways to do a deal here. A lot of ways. But your challenge is to go out there and find the company to do the deal with. And I said, There's a lot of companies. But what holds people back is the dread of looking stupid, the dread of approaching someone and maybe not being able to finance it. But I wouldn't let that worry me. I just wouldn't, because as soon as you start putting feelers out there that you're looking to buy this company, you have something on the table, as soon as you start making the phone calls, whether to your bank or to other financial institutions or to a VC fund or to private investors, as soon as you start making the phone calls, things will start to happen and people will start offering you maybe some of the money. And if you're looking at, like we were for a lot, buying the business for 5 million, and the initial payment was 2.5 million, and we had no money down. We found someone who came in with us because just before we closed the deal, we realised there wasn't enough debt on the balance sheet to liquidate, and enough creditors on the balance sheet to liquidate. So we had to get an additional £500,000, and someone who was going to be in with a deal with us, they came up with 500 grand. But I spent the whole 2 days having a driver drive me around to all the banks when there was banks and you could go and see banks in Ireland, and ringing around and using the phone, because we've done so much work on this deal that we didn't want to let it fall. I always remember the day the accountants brought me into the room and said, we're short £500,000. And they said, that's a big problem. And I said, well, it's not a big problem now. It's only £500,000. And they said, well, our bill at the moment is 80,000. And the problem with that was their bill was a no-win fee. So we didn't do the deal, they weren't getting paid. And that was the deal I did with them. And that's the deal I did with the solicitors as well. If the deal didn't happen, there was no fee. If the deal did happen, which it did happen, they got paid their £80,000. But it just shows you how two different people think. The man there was a senior partner in the firm of accountants. He saw it as a huge problem, 500 grand. But all he was focused on was his 80 grand worth of time that he spent on the business. So I just got a driver, drove around all around Dublin, used the phones, tapped to as many people I could find, and one person came in with us for a portion of the deal and gave us the £500,000. So there is ways to finance deals. Once you start looking for it, and once people start knowing you're looking for it, and once people see the deal, they may not give you everything they want, everything that you want, but they may give you a portion of it. And then they may say, right, you need to also talk to X. He or she may give you the rest of the money. So once you get one portion of the money in place, then you have the deal, part of the money in place, then you're just chasing the next bit of the money. It's much easier because now you can show the third or fourth or fifth person you're talking to that you have a substantial amount of the deal done. So whether you're buying a company for 50 grand, buying a company for 5 million, buying a company for 50 million, it's the same work, the same effort, the same due diligence, and the same thing you have to do after you acquire them. You have to bring the two of them together, find all the cost savings without touching the overhead, without touching the turnover. So you want a new turnover to stay the same. You're going to try and increase the margin of it by buying better from suppliers, because now you're buying more product for more customers. So that gives you more buying power. You're going to probably cut your marketing spend because you don't need to be marketing two brands. You're probably going to cut your printing spend. You're going to be cutting, sadly, some of your back office wage spend, right? So there's a lot of savings to be done to make the deal work. And that's the last part of the equation, is you doing that work to bring it all together. And that can be done. So no matter what size of company you are now, there's no reason why you can't buy another business and bolt it onto yours to make a huge, much bigger business for you. No reason at all. So if you're sitting there this morning in the car and you're on the train or you're on the bus and you're saying to yourself, right, who would I buy if I want to double my turnover? Who would I buy now that I think I could work with? Who would I buy now that maybe, based on their age, he or she may be retiring in a few years' time and may be looking to sell their company? Who would I buy that would make my company a better company tomorrow and give me access to customers that I'm having a hard time getting access to, or give me access to suppliers who won't deal with me at the moment because I'm too small? And you find out who that company is or who that person is. Lift the phone, send the email, do the DM, make contact, and just start the conversation. Because even when we start the conversation and buying the advertising agency, it took us a year to buy it. Some of these deals can be done very quickly. I've helped people buy companies within 8 weeks. They can be done very quickly. Others take a period of time till everything is right. But it has to start with that phone call, with that email, with that DM, with that notice on LinkedIn, whatever. It has to start something like that. So what I would say to you this morning is reach out and decide, just have a think about who ideally you would like to buy. Just think about that this morning. Who would you like to buy? And then start working backwards on how you can make it happen. If you're running your own company, that already says that you're creative, you're determined, you're willing to go out there and make it happen. That's a huge step towards where you are. So if you're willing to do all that now, and you are doing that, then buying some other company is not a huge step. If you look at any decent sized business, they started off small, and a lot of them have done acquisitions along the way to grow. Remember, you're adding value to you and what you have as a complete package for when you want to sell your business. Now you have something bigger to sell that will get you a bigger payday. Right, to all my friends on LinkedIn and YouTube and Instagram, thanks for listening this morning. I do appreciate it. I hope you have a great morning. And be careful out there. It is a dry morning, but just be careful. No matter how you get to work, there's still a lot of surface flooding. So look after yourself. And if you need any help, you have my email address. It's on the screen there, markbeggs@gmail.com. We've been live doing this every weekday since the 6th of January. So we're live every weekday from 7:30 a.m. If you've missed any of the shows, you want more information on the shows, simply go onto YouTube at Mind's Eye Education. All our past shows are there. All our interviews with well-known entrepreneurs are there. There's a lot of free videos there. There's a lot of stuff. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as we put up more free videos and more free content that may help you in your business, may help you in sales, may help you in marketing, may help you in a lot of ways. There's a lot of free stuff there. So just subscribe to our YouTube channel at Mind's Eye Education. And if you're on TikTok, do hit that follow button. Or you're on LinkedIn, do hit that follow button so that you get a notification when we go live. And if you need any help around neurodiversity and dyslexia, which I am, dyspraxia, or anything like that may help you or your child who's doing exams and stuff like that, or maybe you're having a tough time at work, mindseyeeducation.com. We have a lot of free resources there if you are neurodiverse. Thanks so much this morning for joining me, folks. I really appreciate it. Have a great Wednesday. Have a great day. And I hope to see you all again tomorrow morning. Same time, same place. And we'll talk to you. My name is Mark Beggs. Have a great day.